Hi, please make some allowances. Now, I fully admit that I'm jealous that Konstantin Kisin figured out in a week what I haven't been able to figure out in 40 plus years of following Israel and the Palestinian situation. I think the first time that I became acquainted with Israel was in 1974. I remember when these Israeli girls from a kibbutz came to visit our 7th grade class. They said, and I remember, our only problem is all the Arabs moved away from us, and they won't join our kibbutz or stay in their homes. We say, please stay, Arabs, but they say, no, the powers said all of Israel is to be yours. You know, it's in the UN 181 thing, and it's in the Balfour Declaration. But we said to them, no, that's not what they said. They said we'll both share it. But they said we'd read it wrong. So what could we do? You can't force someone to become a citizen or join a kibbutz if they don't want to. Anyway, if you don't know who Konstantin Kisin is, he does a podcast and a YouTube channel called Trick and Wankery.
I read, watched, and listened to the endless commentary, debates, and discussions to understand what people on various sides were saying. Having gathered those perspectives, I then did my best to apply first principles thinking to the arguments I heard. Thinking from first principles means stripping whatever you're trying to analyze down to its core and working back from there.
Anyway, Unheard thinks he's a genius, and he has 1 million subscribers. But again, I admit I'm not very smart. He interviewed Norman Finkelstein, and obviously Finkelstein explained to him things I never heard him say, when I've watched him or listened to him. And again, I take full responsibility for being dull and not listening carefully to whatever Norman Finkelstein has said. Anyway, when the powers gave Israel to the Jews, the Arabs, what we call Palestinians, because they lived in the area called Palestine, moved to small towns in the West Bank and to Gaza in the south. They really wanted to be alone. Yet no matter how much the Jews implored them to stay in their homes, the Palestinians said, no, the powers gave you all of Israel, and all of Israel you shall have. And in Gaza, they even built a wall around themselves and paid the Jews to guard it. Can you imagine? The Palestinians said, whatever you do, do not let us out. Even when we die, do not let our children out. Shoot to kill if anyone approaches the border fence. They even built an airport, but asked the Jews to blow it up. Same for a port. No matter how hard the Jews tried to keep the Palestinians in Israel, the Palestinians said, talk to Norman Finkelstein. He'll tell you that we want to live like this. It's just mind-blowing to me that the powers gave Israel to the Jews, and to this day the world won't listen to the Arabs when they say it is legitimate. I mean, Konstantin is correct. If it wasn't legitimate, the Palestinians say, why would they move into towns and build walls around themselves? It doesn't make any sense. And look at the facts on the ground. I also remember how we, the United States, failed at giving the former slaves what they wanted. They wanted to live by themselves too. But we wouldn't let them. We let some of them go to Liberia, but we wouldn't pay for all of them to go. All the slaves wanted was some prison walls and a beatdown. And then we put some of them in prison. We just couldn't afford to give them all equal opportunity, as the Jews give Arabs. America is a failure, I guess. Anyway, Konstantin Kisin talks about the pager attack. There he too doesn't tell the full story, but I will. This is what Israel's did when they sold those pagers. And let me do, see, I can look official here. So the Israels, just imagine me as the official Israeli, and I'll take my little pad here. Okay. Before I give you this pager, MZ Bola, you live at 1 Rocket Lane. Rocket Street. You have never left your pager out where a child can pick it up, right? But I see here you have 53 children. How is that possible? Oh, you lock your pager up in a safe in the basement. Okay. Just checking. You can never be too careful. I know. Us Jews just care too much about the Arabs. What can you do? Kisin says he wants to understand things by comparing them to things that happen. But then he talks about the hypothetical of Mexico running over the border and killing 36,000 people. What am I missing? Is Mexico about to kill us? I know Trump warned us that they're a little rapey, but mass murderers? Again, I'm just not good at this trigger wankery like Konstantin is. When I hear phrases like logically impenetrable, I know I'm going to have a hard time understanding. I know I'm going to struggle.
Whatever your view of the history of this conflict, I believe the logic of this is impenetrable.
All my life, I've noticed when someone says something like logically impenetrable,
Whatever your view of the history of this conflict, I believe the logic of this is impenetrable.
that's a warning that I'm about to learn something I can't understand. Konstantin Kisin says, everyone who is pro-Palestinian uses emotions to win arguments. Why don't I see that? I mean, every third word out of Norman Finkelstein's mouth is dead baby. Seriously, go see for yourself. Anyway, dear viewer, do not get despondent about the Middle East. I know it looks bad, but Konstantin has figured it all out. Once word spreads of his impenetrable logic, Hamas and Hezbollah will put down their arms. And if they don't, as he argues, they will all be killed, even if it takes killing every Palestinian in Gaza and Arab in Lebanon to do it. I mean, it's math and it stinks. What can you do? Okay. In all seriousness, I want Israel to prosper. That means making all Palestinians equal citizens, whether they want to or not. But it should have been done in the beginning. You can say that's impossible all you want. Maybe it is. It's just my opinion. I'm also against a two-state solution because Israel would be stronger with both people contributing to a common state or good. And the U.S. did have a Palestinian issue-like problem, the former slaves. Do we put them in their own state and surrounded by a fence? No. We learn to live together as citizens with equal rights. I mean, it's hard, and it's still hard, but we keep trying. And if we can do it, why can't Israel? I just don't get it. When he says we would do all the same after such an attack, that is false. Konstantin Kisin is a Russian, but he now has some British, now has a British passport too. He is not American. He does not speak for me. I did not want us to attack Iraq. Same for Libya. I am hardly alone. Anyway, I don't know what he is talking about. I doubt Konstantin Kisin has ever been on the fence about Israel. He pretended to be open to the Palestinian point of view, but in this end, it's he who comes off as manipulative.
In summary, I've engaged with an open mind and in good faith with all the anti-Israel arguments presented to me over the last year. On balance, I regard them as disingenuous, irrelevant, and designed to pull at my heartstrings in order to obscure the harsh reality of this conflict.
He said the pro-Palestinians are all the things he says here. Never once does he make an argument critical of the Israelis. Watch the whole video. If he truly had an open mind and was unbiased, he would simply say he heard both arguments and decided one was better than the other. His grandfather was Jewish, which he conveniently leaves out of the video. He's also Russian, and 20% of Israelis are of Russian descent. I mean, it's probably nothing. Yeah, nothing. Thanks for watching. See you later.